They say evil hides in plain sight, but sometimes it doesn't just hide. It crosses borders, slips through the cracks of international law, and leaves behind a trail of questions soaked in blood. Tonight, we follow the twisted journey of one woman whose life of secrets, lies, and murder didn't end at the crime scene. It ended in handcuffs, thousands of miles away. This is not just another story of betrayal and death. This is the chilling case of Emma Shafer and the murder that followed her all the way from Mexico. The story begins not in a courtroom, not in a prison cell, but in the kind of place people go to escape their past, a border town in Mexico, sun-bleached walls, crowded streets, the hum of daily life. To anyone passing by, Emma looked like another foreigner chasing a fresh start, a woman blending into the dust and heat. But the truth is, Emma wasn't running toward anything. She was running away, and the nightmare she left behind was darker than anyone in that quiet town could imagine. It was the kind of crime that doesn't just shock a community, it shatters it. A murder so violent, so personal, that detectives couldn't decide if it was a crime of passion or cold calculation. The victim? Someone close enough to Emma that the betrayal felt almost Shakespearean. The kind of killing where every stab, every blow, told a story. And when the blood dried, Emma was gone. No trace, no goodbye, no trail. Just whispers of motive and a body in the morgue. Police scrambled, neighbors speculated, and the media did what it always does, painted Emma as either a monster or a victim of circumstance. But while the world argued over her guilt, Emma was already across the border. She knew the system, knew the gaps, knew how to vanish. For months, maybe years, she drifted through shadows, changing her name, her look, her story. And in Mexico, she found her temporary haven. But Mexico is no safe harbor when you're wanted for murder. Because while Emma tried to bury her past, law enforcement on both sides of the border were digging it back up. Detectives pieced together her movements, traced her aliases, and followed the whispers of anyone who claimed to have seen her. Every false lead made her bolder, every close call made her slip deeper into paranoia. And paranoia, for a fugitive, is as dangerous as the crime itself. Imagine her life, always glancing over her shoulder, never staying too long in one place. Every knock at the door carrying the weight of possible discovery. For Emma, even ordinary sounds became sinister. A phone ringing too long, a neighbor asking too many questions, footsteps behind her on a narrow street. When you're guilty, the world becomes one giant set of eyes, and every shadow feels like judgment. And then it happened. A routine patrol in Mexico stumbled across a woman who didn't fit. Papers that looked almost perfect, but not quite. A story rehearsed, but one crack too many. They didn't know who she was at first, but when her prints were run, the name that came back was no stranger to international alerts. Emma Shafer, wanted for murder. And just like that, her world collapsed. Extradition cases are not simple. They're political, legal, and often dragged out for years. But Emma's case carried a weight that few fugitives face. The U.S. wanted her back, badly. The murder she was tied to wasn't some faceless statistic. It was brutal, personal, and had become a scar on the community she left behind. Families wanted closure, prosecutors wanted blood. And Mexico? Mexico became the unwilling stage for her downfall. The courtroom scenes were a theater of their own. Emma, once confident enough to run, now trapped in the endless procedures of extradition law. She fought, of course, claimed innocence, claimed mistreatment, claimed anything that might buy her time. But time was not her ally anymore. Every hearing was another nail in her coffin. Reporters described her as cold, distant, unshaken. But those who watched closely said something else. They saw fear creeping in at the edges, the realization that the life she built on lies was crumbling. And here's the thing about extradition. It's not just about guilt or innocence. It's about control. It's about one country handing you back to another, knowing what awaits you on the other side. For Emma, that other side meant a trial, a cell, and a lifetime to remember every detail of the night that destroyed her life. She could delay, she could appeal, but she couldn't escape. The system that once let her slip through its cracks was finally sealing shut. The day the final decision came down, the air in the courtroom was electric. Emma's face was unreadable, but the message was clear. She was going back. Back to face the murder she thought she could outrun. Back to the community she left in ruins. Back to the truth she tried to bury in Mexican dust. The transfer itself was almost cinematic. Federal agents escorting her, tight security, the media swarming every possible angle. She didn't speak, didn't cry, didn't fight, just silence. The silence of someone who knows the ending is already written. When she stepped off that plane onto U.S. soil, it wasn't freedom waiting for her, it was chains. And yet, the questions don't end with her capture. They never do. Because every crime leaves behind mysteries that no trial, no verdict, no confession can fully solve. Did Emma kill out of rage, or was it calculated from the start? Was she running from justice, or from something even darker? And perhaps the most haunting question of all, if she hadn't been caught, how long could she have kept living a double life, smiling at strangers while carrying the weight of murder in her shadow? This case reminds us of a truth most of us don't like to face. Evil doesn't always come with warning signs. Sometimes it looks ordinary. Sometimes it looks like someone you trust. And sometimes it doesn't just stay where it was born. It crosses borders, hides in foreign streets, and waits for the knock that will end it all. Emma Shafer thought she could escape the crime that defined her. But in the end, murder doesn't wash away in a different country. It clings, it follows, and eventually, it finds you. So when you hear the phrase, "From Mexico with murder," remember, it's not just a headline, it's a warning. Because the past doesn't stay buried, not for long. And no matter how far you run, there's no outrunning what you've done.